It is time. It is time for the nightly ritual to prepare you to trade the best setups at the best prices. Within tonight's price action analysis, I'm going to be giving you the best levels possible to be buying calls on the SPY. I'm also going to be giving you the best levels possible to be buying puts on the SPY. I'm going to be walking you through the overall unique trading strategies that we are planning to use in terms of confirmations at these levels. In terms of Friday, on Team Roar, Uncle Tio ended up going 1-for-1 on the day, making over a 100% profit return on AMD calls or a $76,000 profit. G-Roar ended up going 3-for-3 on the day. I ended up going 5-for-6 on the day. I'm going to be walking you through the trades that we did end up making towards the end of this video. But first things first, we're going to get into tomorrow's game plan. Let's get straight into the price action analysis. So in terms of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, the main focus is going to be to look for dip buying opportunities at the oversold levels if we are getting bullish 30-minute confirmations. Now, in terms of puts, I'm only going to be focusing on the highest levels possible. So in terms of what I did was I went back throughout the daily chart history and I studied the patterns on the SPY, on how the SPY normally reacts when it forms these daily candlesticks. This is what I ended up coming up with in terms of the pattern recognition. So in terms of put options heading into tomorrow, the focus on puts is going to be towards all-time highs or slightly above all-time highs. So I'm going to keep an eye on 573 and slightly above that, you can say like 574. With that being said, if I'm seeing red, bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, trend reversal 30-minute candlestick confirmations at those overall levels, I am planning to buy put options. You can keep an eye on 571. This is the highest gap that is waiting to fill above on the SPY, which could mean it could be a good opportunity to scalp puts if you are seeing the 30-minute candlestick closing bearish patterns. But if you're not seeing those overall patterns, we will be on pace for new all-time highs, then a potential drop if we get the proper confirmation of the patterns, right? So in terms of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, it could potentially try to go above all-time highs, then pull back. So the gap might not be the best level. Now, in terms of the call options, I'm going to be focusing on the oversold levels. The first oversold zone heading into tomorrow. Again, this price action analysis, I'm speaking specifically for tomorrow, is going to be the following. If you look at this daily chart right here, you can see you have resistance on the SPY at 568.70, and then you have support on the SPY at 568.08. And then you have the previous closing price, which is towards that support. So this is your make or break zone. Based off of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, if we are getting bullish 30-minute candlestick confirmations in between that zone, 569 to 568, a little bit under, you can try to buy calls for a strong bullish move towards those all-time highs. Throughout this week, the SPY is going to attempt to retest the wick that is waiting to hit at these all-time highs at 573, likely before it attempts to drop. And then once we go above that level, if you're seeing the bearish confirmations, you can try the put options. It's extremely hard to capture the exact peak when we're seeing new all-time highs. But based off that daily chart pattern, I am seeing an opportunity. If we are getting those bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, we're going to want to try to buy put options at all-time highs or slightly above it. Also, if you study the short-term trend, what has the SPY been doing? Every single time the SPY has been hitting those new all-time highs, when it goes a little bit above, it tends to be a false breakout and it starts to drop back down. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, man, if we're seeing bullish confirmations in between that range of 569 to 568, I'm going to be interested in buying call options. The next level below that is going to be your make or break gap breakdown level, right? So again, if you're seeing bullish confirmations in between that 568, 569 zone, we're exploding up to 571. We break above 571, next level, 573, and then look for the opportunity on puts. Now, in terms of the gap breakdown, a gap breakdown is when a stock gaps up, and then once the market closes, you take the low of day. If it goes under the low of day and reacts as a resistance, it breaks under the low, spikes back up, the breakdown and retest strategy for the lower highs to buy put options, then it reacts bearish and it's going to start to fill the gap that is waiting to fill below at 561.50. So if we go under this, 565 reacts bearish, and then it starts to spike back up towards this level, forms resistance, drops back down. That's when it's going to start to fill the gap below at 561.30, which is a key level to buy call options for a gap close reversal. Now, based off of what I'm seeing in terms of heading into tomorrow, this could be a great level to buy call options as well at 565. So we're keeping an eye on 565. We're keeping an eye on 568 to 569. This is where the market can react bullish for a move to 571, 573. Above new all-time highs, we get a small move to the upside. That's when we can flip bearish and try to close weak. In terms of try to close strong and very bullish move, that's towards the lower levels, 569, 568. Keep an eye on 565. And then later into the week, we're going to keep an eye into that gap at 561.50. That is going to be the overall game plan heading into tomorrow. Make sure you are studying throughout all the videos that I've given you in terms of the confirmations to use at these levels. Now, I'm going to be getting into the trades, man. So first things first, let's get straight into the trades, man. I'm going to walk you through this. So ever since Uncle Tio's been back, man, he's been back since last Thursday, man. Uncle Tio has not had one loss since he's been back, man. He's a very busy man. Now, with that being said, man, he's absolutely crushing it, man. All we ask in return in terms of Uncle Tio, the engagement has been low on the flowers. So if you took one of his play, just give him a flower emoji, man. That's all we ask for. Now, with that being said, in terms of the overall plays, as you could see, he ended up getting in AMD call options, man. 157.5 AMD calls at 13 cents a contract. And these call options exploded. And as you could see, he tells you in real time where to set the profit stops, right? So in terms of this overall trade that we ended up making on the day, you can see this was over a 116% profit return or a $76,000 profit. Now, in terms of the trades that G-Roar ended up making, he did end up going 3 for 3 on the overall day, as you could see in terms of the overall trades, right? So he ended up getting in 564 SPY puts for 56 cents a contract. These contracts that he got in at 56 cents a contract, they went all the way up to 67 cents very, very quickly at the speed of light. And then the next trade was 569 SPY calls for 60 cents. These quickly went up to 75 cents a contract. The next trade was 564 SPY puts of 52 cents. These quickly went up to 79 cents a contract. Overall, went 3 for 3 in that situation. Now, I'm going to walk you through my trades. In terms of my overall trades combined, it was 5 for 6 on the overall day, and I'm going to recap some of the trades that I ended up making. For those of you who studied these videos throughout the past, you should have seen the bullish trend reversal level pattern on the 30-minute chart, man. Using this pattern, I was able to buy call options on SPY and Nvidia towards the exact lows with the teachings that I trade and teach you within these overall videos, man. If you go back throughout the history of this channel, you'll find this pattern somewhere. I'm going to walk you through this, man. This is going to be the main trade that I wanted to recap. Let's get straight into it. So in terms of Friday, man, you guys are well aware Fridays are known for being our best days. We absolutely fucking crushed it, man. It was flawless on the overall situation. I'm going to walk you through this. You guys are well aware, if you watched the game plan that I posted on Thursday, I made it very, very clear that I was interested in buying call options on the SPY at 566. One of the reasons why was I identified a daily chart pattern, right? So that's one of the ways that I create my levels of interest to be buying overall trades, right? So I came up with this daily pattern that I was speaking about in terms of the last video that I posted on Thursday for Friday's game plan. And I made it very, very clear that I was interested in buying call options on the SPY at 566, which was nearly the low on the day. And I ended up executing that game plan using the 30-minute candlestick patterns. And you can go back throughout the videos, you'll find this exact trading strategy. And then I used the same strategy on SPY to capture the exact fucking lows on Nvidia later throughout the day, man. This is where you're going to learn a lot. I'm going to walk you through this. So at 11:32 a.m., 2 minutes after the new 30-minute candlestick ended up opening up, I bought 567 SPY calls at 71 cents a contract. I made it very, very clear. The 30-minute pattern indicates a clear reversal for a strong bullish closing 30-minute candle. Right? So in terms of my trades, at times, you're going to see a lot of my trades. Typically, I'm getting in right before the 30-minute candlestick closes or right after the new 30-minute candlestick opens up. I'm using those 30-minute closing candlesticks, right? And then in terms of foundations, I'm using levels based off of overall patterns that I'm seeing. It could be throughout the weekly chart, could be out throughout the daily chart, could be key levels of interest that I'm using on the 10-day, 1 minute, 10-day, 30-minute chart, right? But the foundational piece to the strategy was in last Thursday's video, right? I gave you the level, I gave you the daily pattern, and then I stacked. That's what I do. I dissect the chart, and then when the level hits, I stack whatever I can in my favor as a confirmation to win. All we fucking do is win inside of Team Roar. So why calls? I'm going to walk you through this. And if you've been studying the lessons, you should have came across this overall pattern, and you can save this pattern. This is a money-making pattern. But again, you can't just trade based off of this pattern that I'm showing you. You have to have a foundation, to create these overall levels. You can't just say a pattern's forming and it's time to go long. Trading isn't as simple as that. You have to dissect the chart, have your levels, and then wait for the confirmations. So in terms of this pattern that I'm going to show you, you can think of it as a confirmation. Before this, I dissect the chart and everything it is to come up with these overall levels. And then if I see this pattern form at the bullish level that I'm planning to buy calls, then I'll execute on the trade, right? So this is more of a confirmation, not necessarily a foundation. Now, in terms of the overall pattern, this is what it looks like. You have a red bearish candlestick facing to the downside. This is a 30-minute chart, right? Each one of these candles represents 30 minutes worth of price action. And then you have a red pin facing to the upside. So if you see this pattern, this is 1 hour's worth of price action, two 30-minute candlesticks. And then if you see this 30-minute candlestick close like this, right? So it looks like this, you can make up your own fucking name for it, right? Now, with that being said, if you see that forming at a reason to be bullish, so I told you, I saw a daily pattern on the SPY where it was likely going to bounce at 566 and also previous resistance. You could see right here, there's previous resistance at 565.50 to 566. The SPY had a gap up towards this previous resistance, and it never retested. It had a gap and go and a very strong move to the new all-time highs. If you've been studying the overall trend recently, SPY has been barely pushing for new all-time highs. Then it's been having false breakouts and coming back down, forming higher support. So it's likely going to bounce at 565 to 566. If not, then 561.30. So then once that key level of interest hits for my bullish reasonings, I need some sort of confirmation. For some people, that's indicators. I encourage you to stack everything it is within your favor. If you're going to be bullish at a level and you have the foundation and the reason to be bullish in advance because you prepare to trade the best setups at the best fucking prices, then you need to dissect and stack confirmations within your favor. That could be indicators, right? But you don't want to make it too complicated, and you have to understand in terms of your stack, in terms of your deck of cards, what works best? What is the most powerful? If you have 20 reasons to buy calls at this bullish fucking level, out of the 20, what is the top 3? What are the most powerful? What's going to give you the highest success rate? What are you going to be the most confident, right? You don't need too many stocks, but it is important to know and be aware of all the stocks, but you don't want to overcomplicate it. You need to be aware of what works best. And for me, that's truly been the 30-minute chart. So this red bearish candlestick facing to the downside, red bearish candlestick facing to the upside. The next 30 minutes, when you see this pattern, right, and you have a reason to be bullish at the overall level when this pattern's hit, right, this is likely going to be a strong bullish 30-minute candlestick, and the uptrend could last for an hour, right? And more reasons to be bullish, wicks to test. Wicks to test right here at 567.78. Wicks to test here at 568.48. I talk about all the time within my videos. I even went over in terms of the daily chart. The SPY is going to try to retest all-time highs because there's that wick to test, right? So these fucking wicks like to retest when there's a bullish confirmation at a bullish foundation, right? So you have to have a foundation, and then, you get the foundation by dissecting the overall chart, you get the levels, then you need confirmations. It could be indicators, it could be candlesticks. You need some sort of confirmations to stack with your foundation. If you don't have a foundation, you have nothing, right? Then you just have the confirmations. You need a foundation. You need to build a strong house within your trading. And then you need the deck, you need the cards to stack within your favor to confirm that fucking trade is going to work. So I showed you the pattern. You're buying call options on the next 30-minute candlestick into the opening. You're buying call options on the 1-minute dips. You're holding until the closing of that 30-minute candlestick. You're selling into the rips. You're selling into the key resistance in terms of great levels to sell. Resistance right here in the 30-minute chart, 567.50. Resistance right here on the 30-minute chart, 568.50. If you're selling at 567.50 and then the next 30-minute candlestick closes green, you're leaving runners, right? So you can leave runners, you can set profit stops, you can scale out and sell the move at overall key levels. But at the bare fucking minimum, if we're trading the 30-minute chart, you should be holding for 30 fucking minutes at the bare fucking minimum. It's a 30-minute candlestick. We're not trying to trade for a couple fucking minutes, right? In certain situations, I can make quick multiple scalps, especially when the market's about to close on the last 30-minute candlestick. Using the 1-minute chart, I can make a couple quick scalps. But in terms of overall focus, that was the reasoning for calls, and it was such a phenomenal play. Now, this is where more information and more knowledge I'm going to give you here. I'm going to walk you through this, man. So I sold that at 101, man. I got out fairly fucking quickly because the contracts went up like 40% at the speed of fucking light. I decided to play it safe and just sell the overall move. You can always get back in that situation. But now I want to walk you through, man. I had 2 trades on GME towards the end of this video. I'm going to explain to you why I think GME is going to be bullish. I did end up swing trading those calls. I'm currently up on those. If you held the other day trade, that was a YOLO on GME. You would have made a win. I ended up getting out for my small loss. That was the only small L on the day, and then the rest were all fucking wins. I had a 200% win on fucking FedEx. I'm not going to be going over that. That was a phenomenal trade that I ended up making on FedEx. The call options that I bought on FedEx at 52 cents ended up going to 160 cents a contract, man. Now, I want to get into this Nvidia trade. I'm going to walk you through this, man. I'm going to show you the genius behind this trade and this information you can use. I'm putting you onto the game. I'm going to walk you through this, man. So in terms of Nvidia, let's get into this. Why did I buy these Nvidia call options? As you can see right here, I was very confident in this overall trade. I ended up getting in on Nvidia call options. 116 strike at 27 cents at 2:49 p.m., man. Look at this. I bought these Nvidia fucking calls towards the exact fucking lows. Look at this overall trade, man. I got in right here on these fucking Nvidia calls towards the exact lows. They went from 20 cents all the way to 90 fucking cents a contract, man. I'm going to walk you through this. It was the exact same setup as SPY, except the foundation was not as the same. But what I did was I made a trade based off the foundation that I prepared you on the video for SPY. I literally got you in towards the exact lows if you implemented the video with my teachings. And then what I did was I looked at Nvidia and I said, this is the same fucking pattern that SPY just formed, and Nvidia is at the fucking lows, and there's multiple wicks to fucking test, man. So you're going to see this happen within the market all the time. You need to be aware of the top holdings within SPY, and you need to watch them at all times. You're going to see delayed reactions. You're going to see patterns form on SPY or stocks first, and then later on throughout the day, those same patterns will form. Meaning if you have a good trade and you have your reasoning for the trade, it works out. Later on throughout that day on other stocks, there's going to be the same setup potentially occurring at a later time. You can make the same exact fucking trade on a different ticker, man. I love doing this on Fridays when the 0 days hit. Look at this. You have the red bearish candlestick facing to the downside on the Nvidia 30-minute chart. Then you have the red bearish candlestick facing to the upside on the Nvidia fucking 30-minute chart. Why the fuck do you think I'm in the Nvidia calls right here at 2:49 p.m.? As this 30-minute candle was getting ready to close, I told myself it's time to buy Nvidia calls. Nvidia dropped back down. So I waited for a very strong confirmation. Look, this right here, this is the 30-minute bearish down pattern, and then you have the 30-minute bearish up pattern. Next 30 minutes is supposed to be bullish, right? So instead of getting in right away, jumping the gun, right, at 2:30 p.m., I was already up very, very nicely on this overall situation. What I decided to do on Nvidia was I decided to wait. I decided to wait for Nvidia to drop back down towards these fucking lows, man. I decided to wait for Nvidia to drop back down towards these fucking lows, and it was already out towards the lows of this overall wick, right? So in that situation, it made perfect sense for me to buy call options on Nvidia because it was dropping back towards the lows of the 30-minute. It already had a very strong breakout before them, confirming that the 30-minute was going to be green and bullish. So I decided to buy the dip using the 1-minute chart, and then I studied the pattern on the SPY, and the SPY ended up spiking an hour fucking straight. So I held the fucking calls. I sold the vast majority, 80% at 43 cents for a very, very nice return. You know, that's like 60, 70%, whatever that is, right? And then I held the runners, and I sold the runners towards the exact peak at 73 cents into this bullish 30-minute candlestick. It's bound to retest these wicks. So that was the situation on Nvidia play, right? So it was the same exact pattern as SPY, and it was retesting the overall lows. That's why I made that overall trade. And like I said, I had a 200 FedEx calls went up 200%. And then in terms of the other trades, GME, I have a nice swing on that that's currently up. If you held the GME YOLO, it ended up going up. I ended up cutting for a quick loss. And then look at this, man. Fucking INTC. I bought these INTC puts, these contracts, at the exact fucking lows at 3:29 p.m. right when the 30-minute candlestick closed, I bought these INTC puts at the exact lows. Take a look at this overall chart, man. So in terms of this INTC trade, I got in at 3:29 p.m. I bought this at the exact fucking lows. This is the option I got in literally at the exact fucking lows on the fucking dot, the lows of this 1 minute candle. And these ended up spiking from 20 cents, closing at 60 cents. The puts closed deep in the money, man. Look at this. They went all the way to 70 fucking cents. The puts went up 200% plus. Nvidia fucking calls went up 200% plus. The SPY calls went up 100% plus. The FedEx calls went up 200% fucking plus. Man, who the fuck prints like us? 90% plus success rate buying cheap bar, low risk, out of money option contracts, selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains. That's another phenomenal trade that we ended up having. I ended up selling them nicely in the money. So those were the overall trades. I really hope you learned something in terms of the, SPY and then the Nvidia situation. Like I said, you're going to see it happen all the time where a pattern forms on SPY or in terms of the top holdings on SPY. And then later on throughout the day, the same pattern forms on another ticker. So in a sense, you can make the same trade twice, or if you miss the first trade, or if you just want to miss out the first trade, use it more as a confirmation and then trade another ticker. You can make that next trade on a sense and use the previous one as a confirmation along with a stack confirmation. So that's the overall trades that we ended up making. Now, in terms of GME, I did end up making a swing trade on GME. Like I said, I'm up fairly nicely on these calls already. If it doesn't work out, then it is what it is. In terms of GME, this is what I want to bring awareness to. So in terms of the weekly chart, man, this is what I want to bring awareness to. The weekly chart on GME is potentially setting up bullish, right? So in terms of GME, we're going to break down the weekly chart here, right? And the volume is really starting to kick in on GME as well, right? So as you can see right here on GME, you have this red bearish candle on the weekly chart. You have this red bearish candle on the weekly chart. Then you have this red bearish trend reversal candlestick in the middle on the weekly chart. Then you have this red bearish candlestick trend reversal on the weekly chart. Then you have a green bullish trend reversal candlestick on the weekly chart. Then you have a green bullish candlestick on the weekly chart. So in terms of GME, it's bound to go higher. Now, if you look at these candles, you could say these are very similar. It could go a little bit higher, then it can crash, or it can just keep on fucking pushing up, man. You can see the next week in this situation, it ended up skyrocketing. This is what you need to be aware in terms of GME, man. I'm going to break this down. So for it to be a very strong breakout, we need to maintain above 2140. We need to hold above 2140. If shit hits the fan and we go super bearish, drop under 21, it's going to flip bearish, avoid GME if that occurs. To maintain bullish, we got to hold 21 to 2140. For a strong bullish move, 22. The play here is to play for the gap to fill. When the gap fucking fills at 2340, 23, I'm out. I'm selling calls. We have a nice breakout heading into Monday. I'm likely just going to sell the move. The risk of this overall trade is it could come crashing right back down. So if we already have a nice gap up on Monday, then I'm just going to sell the move. If we end up dropping back down below 2140, under 21, it's over. It's going to come crashing back down for the short term. For a strong overall move, we need to maintain above 2150. We need to push above 22. We need to fill the gap. Once we fill the fucking gap, I'm out. And like I said, for a very bearish move, under 21, it's going to flip super all bearish. That's what I have to say. It can either be a small breakout and then flip super bearish, or it could be a strong breakout, fill the gap, then flip super bearish. But if we're already having a nice gap up, then I'm going to sell the move in that situation, right? So in terms of the next stock that I'm going to be watching heading into this week is going to be a potential gap reversal on DJT stock. We recently played this exact same strategy on DJT to make over a 1000% profit return. I'm going to walk you through this. So the main levels that I'm going to be targeting is going to be the following. 1265, there's a low oversold gap. It's the second lowest one on DJT. And also 1285. That's going to be the overall zone. Once we start to react bullish towards that zone, I'm going to be interested in buying call options, ideally waiting for 0-date options to become very, very cheap on Friday or slightly before Thursday or Wednesday. Now, in terms of the next level, it's going to be the following. I'm looking at $9.90. That's going to be the next level. That's the lowest gap waiting to fill below. Those two zones are going to be phenomenal dip buying opportunities if we were getting bullish reasons on the overall daily chart. Now, in terms of the final stock that I'm going to be watching heading into this week, man, I'm telling you, ANF, man, the stock has been setting up phenomenally to fill the gap that is waiting to fill above at 166.45. DJT can be a potential day trade. ANF is a mid to long-term swing trade. Congratulations for those of you who bought call options at the gap. I made it very, very clear if you've been following along on the weekly top 3 option play series on Sunday that I post. I made it very, very clear to buy call options if you're seeing bullish reasons at the gap. 131.60 right here, bullish trend reversal daily candle, bullish trend reversal daily candle. So the new gap to target is at 135.45. We're on track to fill this gap within time. It's going to take time at 166. It's looking absolutely phenomenal on ANF for the mid to long term. The trend is maintaining bullish. Other stocks we are currently keeping an eye on as well within the Roar chat. I'm not going to be going over these. We're keeping a close eye on Zillow. We're also keeping a close eye on Upstart on UPST. So for those of you who are serious about making money, if you'd like to join Team Roar, it's the first link down below within the description. In terms of what you get access to, you get access to my secured private organization. You're going to see me trade in there. You're going to see Uncle Tio trade in there. You're going to see G-Roar trade in there. And we have a real-time zero-date options trading alert system. We have a 90% plus win rate buying cheap, far, low risk, zero-date out-of-money option contracts, selling them deep in the money 90% of the times, right? In terms of some background to the options trading alert system that we have in terms of inside of Team Roar, I'll give you some background to it. So like I said, we have a 90% success rate. We're buying cheap, low risk, far out of money option contracts. We're known for selling them deep in the money for the biggest percentage gains, right? And in terms of things that we do differently with our trade alert system, this is not just call outs. This isn't just buy here and sell here. This is an advanced strategic trade alert system that can consistently make us money. Now I'm going to walk you through this, man. So in terms of some background to the system, we do not set stop losses. The contracts are so cheap, so low risk, so low minimum barrier to entry. If you can't afford to risk $50 on a trade, then don't fucking trade, right? So these contracts that we're buying, they're typically under $50, the zero date options. With that being said, right, under 50 cents a contract, we don't use stop losses. You can put in your max risk per trade into the contracts, which means if they expire worthless and go to zero, right, then the most you lose is your max risk per trade, meaning you don't need a stop loss. You're risking your max risk per trade. The contracts are so cheap and low risk, they allow you to position size that way, right? So that is the first step to the overall system. We do not use stop losses. Now, what we do use is profit stops. When we are up, a small amount for us is like 5, 10, 15, 20%. Very small gains, very small percentage gains for us, right? We're known for winning big, 100%, 200%. You know, we have a couple trades every single month, 1,000%. You hit 1,000% gainer. Your next day trades could be all losses in a row. You're still green in that situation as a whole, right? We're making the biggest percentage gains within the market on the lowest cheap risk contracts, and we have the highest win rate in the game doing this. So when we're up a little bit for us is like, 10, 15, 20%. We set profit stops and we add to winners. So the next step is we add to winners. When we're up a little bit and we are getting a winning confirmation, you're going to want to add to winners. We like to quickly add to winners. We tend to avoid adding to the losers. In terms of the situation where we're down and losing on a play, sometimes we'll sell the move, right? We don't use stop losses. We like to see how the move reacts at our overall key levels. There's no need for a stop loss, especially if you're putting in your max risk per trade into the entire value of the overall contracts, right? And a stop loss is just not necessarily inside of Team Roar, right? Once in a while, we'll sell the move for a smaller loss if we just think, it's going to have no way of coming back. But like I said, in terms of the dead plays, 70% of the time when we enter a contract and it drops 50%, later on throughout the day, if you hold, it tends to come back to life and go in the money and go from red to green and turn into a win, right? So that's another reason why we don't use stop losses, because the dead plays tend to come back. And also we like to see how the trade reacts at certain levels before cutting, right? So with that being said, we're actually trading. We're not just getting stopped out at levels, right? We like to see how it reacts at the overall levels, right? With this type of strategy, with this type of system, you don't need a stop loss, right? And then in terms of the profit stops, we set the profit stops quickly when we're up on a trade, and then we add to the winners, man. We quickly add to the winners when we're up a little bit, when we get a winning confirmation, because when we win, we tend to win fucking big. So we add to winners to increase the fucking winning. We set the profit stop to secure our trade and our new average cost from going green to red, right? And then we move our profit stop up. The beauty of moving the profit stop up is, as the trade is working and going in your favor, if the market has a big pullback against your trade, you can lose the bulk of your gains, right? getting stopped out for a small green to red? Well, getting stopped out for a small, green to green situation, from a green to red move, right? So what we do is we move our profit stops in our favor. You move the profit stops in your favor. You move them up. That way, if the market has a big move against your trade, you get stopped out for the bulk of the move, right? You're not going to be getting stopped out giving back a ton of gains. You're going to get stopped out for the bulk of the overall move, right? And then at times we'll typically sell the moves, right? So if you want to experience a real-time 0-to-8 options trade alert system, it's going to be the first link down below within the description. You will also see at time Uncle Tio, Keats on Win, Forbes 30 under 30. He'll be trading inside of Team Roar. Ever since he's been back, man, he has not had a single loss yet, man. And you'll see me trading in there inside there as well. So if you're serious about making money, it's the first link down below within the description, man. I'm telling you, you're going to see the multimillionaires. They're trading in here, man. Keats on Win, G-Roar, you're going to see the multimillionaires. They are all trading in here. We have acquired a real-time 0-to-8 options trade alert system that can consistently make you money. If you are serious about gaining access to the system, it's the first link down below within the description. If you're looking to surround yourself with the right community, who's serious about making money, who's trading, who's printing money at the speed of fucking light, I'm telling you, we could turn your phone into a human money ATM printing machine that just prints non-stop. You're going to see these notifications. You turn on these notifications, you're going to see trades printing non-fucking stop at the speed of fucking light. Do you understand this is one of the very few groups that actually gives real-time trade alerts, but has actually created a more strategic options trading alert system, right? No stop losses, set profit stops, move the profit stops higher to ensure that you're going to protect the bulk of the gains if the market has a big move against you. Setting the profit stop to ensure you don't go green to red on a trade. We have the fucking system. We have the multimillionaires. If you're serious about making money, if you want to make this your best trading week possible, it's the first link down below within the description. With that being said, we are going to absolutely crush it tomorrow. I will see you guys within Team Roar tomorrow. I'm going to be signing off here.